Hello, YouTube fans. Here we are again, and we're getting closer and closer and closer to the Merry Christmas. 3 days left, and today we're back in Vincenzo's kitchen. We got some sunshine out there. Temperatures are a little bit warmer than what they have been, and still I'm making soup. And I wanted to do up a video today on making some gluten-free savory cheddar bay biscuits. Welcome to my kitchen. Here we go. Let's see if I can position the camera properly. I think we're good to go. Alrighty. Hey, last minute shoppers. I'm glad I avoided that trap. I got all my Christmas shopping done, wrapped, mailed. I'm good to go. So now I'm going to make myself something good, gluten-free to eat. On my stove, I have a nice big pot of soup that's been cooking for about an hour here. Nice and savory. Got some turkey, some vegetables, good stuff in there. And today what I'm going to do is make some biscuits. Last time we made some of that bread, which was fabulous. So here we go, we're going to get right to it. I'm going to take my refrigerated coconut flour, and I'm going to go with 4 heaping tablespoons, which is probably close to a cup. Actually, I'm going to do 5. We're going to throw him back into the refrigerator. That's where I keep him. We're going to take a little bit of xanthan gum because we don't want this to be too flaky. And I'm going to take about 1/2 teaspoon. We're going to put him back in the refrigerator. Now we're going to start adding our ingredients to the dry. We've got minced onion. We're going to use about 1 tablespoon. Love the smell of the onion. I put it in my soup too. We're going to take some basil. We're also going to do about 1/2 teaspoon of basil. We're going to take some granulated onion. And we're going to do about 1/2 teaspoon. And we're going to take some cilantro. Again, 1/2 teaspoon. And we're going to take some parsley flakes. Again, 1/2 teaspoon. One of the most underrated herbs and seasonings. Now we want a little bit of lift on our biscuits. And these are going to be drop biscuits. So I'm going to take and I'm going to put about 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder in there. But since I like the crunch, I'm going to also take some chia seeds. I love these things. They add a nice crunch to this stuff. And I'm going to put 2 teaspoons of the chia seeds. These last a long time and they go pretty far. Put them back in my cupboard. Alright, we've got our baking powder. We're going to put that back in the cupboard real fast. We're going to add some salt here. I like a little bit on the biscuits. Alright, now what we're going to do is we are going to add some Parmesan mozzarella blend. That'll help it stick together too. And we're going to use about 1/3 cup. But we're also going to add some sharp cheddar. And again, 1/3 cup. And we're going to leave them there because we might just put a little bit more on there. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to crack some eggs. We've got 1. We've got 2. 3. 4. 5. And the last one, we're going to go 6. Because as I said before, this coconut flour just consumes liquid. It's amazing. And we also have our pan that I'm going to spray with some coconut flour here in just a second after I mix all our ingredients up. Notice how I spin the bowl. It's so much easier than fighting everything. And I'm going to let this sit here for a few moments while it gathers up and marries all those flavors. A layering of the flavoring. It gets a little bit stiff. Because again, the coconut flour just really incorporates the liquid. I want to make sure that these aren't too dry. And that looks like I'm going to have to add a little bit of water here. Just a little bit. I'm going to say about 2 teaspoons full water. 1, 2. There we go. I thought the eggs would be enough to get this going, but coconut flour really draws that fluid up. Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. All right, we're gonna let that sit a moment. We're gonna take our pan that's already been aluminum foiled, even though it's seasoned. My son was using this the other day to make some cinnamon biscuits, and I want to make sure that I don't have any contact with any gluten because it really causes me issues. So we're going to give the pan a good spray with some coconut oil. That way things won't stick. And we're going to take our mixture, we're going to start dolloping these right onto our tray. Now I'm going to make these about the size of, and I'm going to roll them in my hand here too. I'm going to make these like that. About the size of a good meatball. I'm hoping to get at least a dozen here. Give them some space to spread out. The oven's already preheated at 350. Notice that it's not sticking to my hands. Rolling these up. And I'm just using a large a tablespoon. These can vary in size, but I want these to cook pretty quick. We're going to do something a little bit different with these. I want to make sure I get about a dozen. Oh, that one's a little small. And you got to get 4 more. Yeah, that's good. 2 more. And 1 more. Waste not, want not. It's a beautiful day here in Middlesex Township, Valencia, PA. Zone 6A for the growers. Alright. My hands a fast rinse. They were a little bit oily. So here we've got 12 of them. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wet my little spoon and I'm going to press down each one in the center here so they don't stick. Just slide it across the top. Since we got them in the ball shape, but I want them in a biscuit shape, almost like doing thumbprint cookies. You think of it that way. I'm going to press them down a little bit, being careful not to crack them. Give them an eyeball there, they look pretty good. And now, what we're going to do is we're going to take some of our cheese, give it a whack on the side, loosen it up. And we're going to use our hands this time, and we're going to take a pinch of cheese and put it on each one of them. It's another original recipe. I'm always in the kitchen creating, outside growing, inside cooking, or painting, or fixing, or cleaning. I stay pretty busy. Alright, now we're going to take a little bit of this cheddar and we're going to do the same. Makes a nice little colorful presentation. These will be great to have with that wonderful smelling soup. My whole kitchen smells like good soup again. I love making soup. It's healthy for you. I always save the chicken stock or the turkey stock, depending on which one I'm having here. Yeah, this is almost like decorating cookies for those that are in that Christmas cookie mode. Now, this is all gluten-free. This is pretty low cal for everything. I mean, low carb. Maybe a couple of carbs per biscuit, maybe. I love quick, easy recipes. If you visit my website, you'll see a lot of original recipes, a lot of quick and easy. Alright, now I'm looking for my basil leaves. Here we go. We're going to take our basil leaves, and what we're going to do is we're just going to give it a sprinkle to give it that herb look. It'll add a nice touch of flavor here to our biscuits. There we go. And we're done. There's what they look like. I hope everybody can see that. We're going to pop them in the oven on the top rack. We're going to turn our fire up to 375. I'm going to start to put away some of my herbs and spices because I got a lot of them out. I love herby, heart healthy, herbs and spices. I'm an herb and spice guy. I have racks filled with herbs and spares. So what we're doing here is making them biscuits. They look pretty good. You saw how quick and easy that was. All you have to do is remain prepared. Remain prepared, get everything laid out. That's how fast that was. Didn't even make a mess. I'm going to take a note on the time here. we're going to give them probably 10 minutes inside the oven before we check on them. And then we're going to go from there. Now please note that I did not spray the biscuits with coconut oil because I really don't want them to get too dark for me. But I do want them to get brown. And so when I pull them out of the oven, if they're not brown enough, I may just give them a spray with the coconut oil and pop them back in. Now for those that are new to the channel, welcome aboard. Everybody have a joyous holiday season. I'm glad you took a little bit of time to spend with me here in my kitchen. And I have a website, gardeningwithvincenzo.com on GoDaddy. If you're interested in one of my spiffy t-shirts, I have herb gardens on there. I also do some pretty meticulous landscaping services. I've added some other things to my repertoire, including electric eel services, and my Facebook page, Gardening with Vincenzo, LLC. You'll see a lot of recipes, a lot of how-tos, some quick and easy cooking. There's a lot of fun in the kitchen, how to plant, how to harvest, how to graft, how to plant. I already said that. So check out my many videos. I have more than 100 videos, and I'm sure you can find something in there you'd like. There's some wildlife videos. Like I say, I stay pretty busy in this busy world. And I'm sure many of you are busy out there trying to get that last minute Christmas shopping done. Like I said, I try to forego that. You know, as much as it's nice as far as the energy level, people get a little bit crankier, you know, right now than they normally would because it's pressed and getting close to the holiday. And so sometimes they just forget to be nice. It's the one thing that I do not like about that last minute shopping, although you can find some great bargains out there. And I do like that. Making that dollar holler. I'll borrow that line from lovely Sarah at CJ's Keto Kitchen, who makes some wonderful recipes for Christmas cookies. I may or may not be able to get a Christmas cookies with some decorating here. I don't know whether I'll have time for that before the holiday. But we'll see. While that's going in the oven and baking, as you can see, I've already got everything all cleaned up. I try to be very efficient in the kitchen. I try to be very organized because that saves you a lot of bother. You know, that's what a lot of people think with cooking or baking, that it's a bother to, you know, do all that. Nah, it's really not. You can see right here in, you know, probably 10 minutes I've made, you know, fresh biscuits. So, and I've made a pot of good soup here, and it just smells wonderful. That's going to be my lunch today with some biscuits. I'm going to have at least 2 of those biscuits. And so I wanted to share that with everybody. There's a lot of folks out there who have real issues with gluten. I happen to be one of them. On top of that, I'm diabetic. And, you know, once you get past that 50-year point, you never know what's going to happen. One day you're fine, the next day you wake up and you have celiac, you know. Losing 90 pounds in 90 days. That was, the doctors didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was. And I never had even heard of it. But it's an autoimmune reaction caused by a certain protein, you know, that's found in products that have gluten in them. And your body actually kind of like rejects that and starts to actually attack your intestinal tract. So it's a pretty significant disease. The cure for it is, there's no cure for it other than to maintain a strictly gluten-free diet, which is what I do. I'm very careful on what I eat. I'm very careful what I drink. I'm very careful with the products that I buy. I do a lot of label reading. There's a lot of good information out there. There are national organizations. So it's a good thing. But if you have that, you have my empathy, believe me, because it's changed my world. But it's changed my world for the better because I actually eat healthier now than I ever did. I don't eat fast food. I eat very little fried foods, although I have some recipes on my website for how to cook and how to make fried foods. So that's a good thing. And so for a mixed blessing, I'll call that a mixed blessing. Although it's very difficult when you're diabetic because they make a lot of nice gluten-free products, but they're high in carbohydrates. And I'm a carb counter. I'm insulin dependent. Every day I have to use insulin. I have no choice in the matter. And once you get to that point, and I almost immediately went to that point, I went from one day being great to the next day being hospitalized, and then here I am on the insulin every day, and I'm very careful about it. I don't want to just keep injecting more and more and more and more insulin, which is the treatment for diabetes. There's a lot of medications out there, and not to be involved in negativity, but these medications have a lot of significant contraindications, as far as your kidney health, as far as your eye health, as far as your pancreas, where the insulin is made in the beta cells. So there's a lot of true information out there for those that have questions regarding. So if you take care of yourself early and you limit the amount of calories and sugars that you put into your body, you'd be way better off, especially if you're a young person, because I didn't have any of these things till I turned 50, and I'm 66 years old, so double sixes, so that's a pretty long time to be living with this. And you just adapt. You look at things differently, and you just make the proper adjustments in your lifestyle, which is what I've done. So anyway, enough of the lecturing here. I'm going to take a peek at the biscuits. We've been in there for about 8 minutes now, and I want to see what they look like. The cheese has melted, and I think we're going to give them a few more moments. A couple of more minutes. I probably could have sprayed them though. I may do that. Let's do that. Let's pull them out real quick. They look fab. I'm just going to give them a fast spray. That'll brown them up real quick. There we go. We're going to pop them right back in the oven. I wasn't sure if I was going to do that, but I should have done it before I put them in the oven. Again, this is a coconut oil, and this is the only brand that I could find out there that actually says that it's gluten-free on there. There's other coconut oils that are out there, and you may want to do some research as to see, which brand actually is gluten-free. But one of the other things that I always worry about is the MSG, because I'm severely allergic to it. So anytime I see something that says flavors or spices, I want to know what those are. So like I said, I'm very careful with what I put into my body anymore, because I've had some very dramatic things happen to me over the years since I turned 50. When I first got the celiac, I was eating these salted corn chips. I won't name the brand, but they were lime. I loved them. They were keeping me alive until before they figured out what was wrong with me. And then they added MSG without like announcing or anything. And about 5% of the population in the United States is allergic to MSG, which is one of the reasons why they don't use it anymore for Oriental cuisine that's displayed out there like in buffets, because people are allergic to it. Well, I immediately had an anaphylactic. My whole body broke out in hives. I had to go to the emergency room, and I swelled up. My eyes were going, everything. And after they put me on steroids and everything, when I came home, I still was on double doses of Benadryl, and and it probably took a week before the hives and everything went away. So there I am, I'm up and moving around. I take 2 Benadryl, I'm conked out. 4 hours later, I'm up, waking up from the Benadryl, and there it is again, taking 2 Benadryls, and I'm conked out again. So it was quite a big to do. So now I'm very, very, very careful about the MSG. Folks invite me to family affairs, where there's food and everything, and I'm reluctant to go because I don't want to put them through the bother of trying to, accommodate my dietary restrictions. What's very difficult is when you go out to eat, which is one of the reasons why I just love going out to, rarely I go out to eat, to the Outback, because they have a gluten-free menu. And Eaton Park used to have a gluten-free menu. I haven't been there in a while, so I'm not sure, but that was the other restaurant. So mostly, I cook my own meals, and I'm very careful about the ingredients that I use, and there's very good reason why I do that. All right, let's take another look at our quick biscuits here and see what we look like. Yeah, there we go. That's starting to get them all nice and brown. And they're a little bit on the fluffy side. And this is what they look like. They're great. They're nice and fluffy. I'm going to actually put them in there, and I'm going to give them a couple of more minutes. I want to get that brown on the rest of them and around the edges. The spraying with the coconut oil was a good thing. I'd let these cool down after, let them cool down for 5-10 minutes. They'll still be warm, and they ought to be great to eat, just as they are. You want to cut them in half, throw a little butter on them. That'd be great. I'm going to have these with my soup that I've been cooking. And so that's how that's going to go. So there's my lunch. Some soup and some nice hearty biscuits. Thanks for spending some time. I'll shake my hat a little bit, being one of Santa's elves. Share a cute story. If anybody was around in the neighborhood, the Valencia Post Office, Middlesex Township, Valencia, PA, there was a guy that was dressed in a fabulous elf costume, nicely tailored. He had a hat on like this, and a real nice hat, and was passing out lovely suckers and to everybody with a nice big smile. I thought that was fabulous. It's great to live in a great community like Middlesex Township. You got country. We're at the crossroads. You can go to the city. You can go up to Cranberry. You can pretty much go in all 4 directions where you want to go. Just a great community. So, all right. Thanks for spending some time with Gardening with Vincenzo in Vincenzo's kitchen. And have yourself a joyous holiday. Be surrounded by friends and family. Have good conversations. Leave the political stuff alone. It's overwhelming if you let it be overwhelming. Enjoy the holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to all.